Welcome to the weekend. We'll have a rerun today, and I'll add a quote. So grab your favorite cuppa, settle in, and let's see what we have. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for October 5th. October 5th is the 278th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 279th in leap years, with 87 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is a noun that means the act or an instance of placing two or more things side by side, often to compare or contrast, or to create an interesting effect, as in an unusual juxtaposition of colors. Juxtaposition may also mean the state of being so placed, as in contrasting shapes placed in juxtaposition to each other. Two things being seen or placed together with contrasting effect. The word juxtaposition is a stitch-up of the Latin word juxta, which means near, and English position, which means position. First known use of the word juxtaposition is in 1654, juxtaposition. Let me just say here that I find it pretty interesting to know about these words and word parts. When you know where they come from and what they meant and how they came to us, it can be helpful in figuring out the meaning of other words that you might not have heard before. I found that to be true for me anyway, and if that's the case for me, it might be so for you too. And so we get the word of the day. So, if you have a word you're curious about, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, King Alfonso VII, Emperor of Spain at the time, recognized Portugal as an independent kingdom on October 5th, 1143. On the morning of October 5th, 1789, women in the marketplace of Paris were very angry, nearly rioting over the high price and scarcity of bread. There'd been a poor harvest that year and possibly even worse management, the end result of which was a shortage of flour and consequently a shortage of bread. Added to that, rumors of a government plot to starve the population took hold in the populace, fueling their desperation and rage. Meanwhile, there was already kind of a revolution going on at the time anyway, revolutionaries seeking to change the government. So, angry market women, encouraged by revolutionary agitators, gathered what they could find for weapons and marched off to Versailles. Once there, things got even uglier, but ultimately they were able to prevail upon King Louis XVI and got him, his family, and most of the French assembly to return with them to Paris. Of course, it hadn't helped at all that anyone in a position of privilege lived as if everything was just fine, with no regard to conditions outside their bubble, throwing fine parties and spending money as if it would last forever, while ordinary citizens honestly wondered where in the world their next meal might be coming from. On October 5th, 1910, there was a revolution in Portugal in which the monarchy was overthrown and a republic was declared. It's interesting that it was declared a kingdom on October 5th, and now the monarchy is being abolished on October 5th. This is the birthday of singer, songwriter, and guitarist Steve Miller, born October 5th, 1942. He's best known as the founder of the Steve Miller Band. Steve Miller Band has released 18 studio albums, including a solo album by Steve Miller, 11 compilation albums, and 30 singles. His music career actually began in the 1960s. There's a saying out there that it takes about 20 years to become an overnight success. Looks like he beat that. It was more like 10 to 15 years for Steve Miller and his band. Fans will immediately recognize album titles like The Joker, Fly Like an Eagle, Book of Dreams, and we've certainly talked about some of his songs in the song segment before. Happy birthday, Steve Miller. President Truman made the first televised Oval Office address on October 5th, 1947. Tylenol products were recalled on October 5th, 1982, after bottles laced with cyanide caused several deaths. A lot of crazy stuff happened around that, but it did inspire the development of tamper-resistant packaging, and product tampering is now a federal crime as well. In honor of Steve Miller's birthday, today's song is Fly Like an Eagle by Steve Miller Band. Written by Steve Miller, it appears on his 1976 album of the same name and is often played with another short piece called Space Intro. Fly Like an Eagle made it into the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 in 1977, has been covered by other artists and sampled by countless others. And here's a little tidbit. In 2012, Fly Like an Eagle was chosen by readers of a magazine called Birds and Blooms as the best ever song about birds, calling it an iconic song for an iconic American bird. Fly Like an Eagle by Steve Miller Band. Link in the description. Today's quote is, "Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light." Albus Dumbledore, from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Alrighty, y'all take care. Be good to each other. I'll see you next time. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlists in the description. You can find me on BitChute, Facebook, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, and X, as well as on a blog page called No Really. No Really. No, really. Consider following my Day in History page on Facebook if you're on Facebook. I also have a Patreon account now, or you can buy me a coffee. All those links are in the description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.